We're not born killers. We all of us are born with a sense of duty. Duty to family, a duty to others that we love, a duty to self. But to be asked to kill and injure a person is an unnatural thing. And you know, you have to try, once it's done, you have this sense of duty and you do what you're trained to do, but then there's always that remembrance of what was done. There's always that lingering thought of who was that person? Who were these people? And even though it was a duty that I was performing, that I was serving for my country, whom I love, my humanity, the person that I am, is shaken by the fact that I've had to commit such an act.
Soldiers who have returned home. Years after the war, many still face deep internal battles. Decades later, wounds still fresh, they continue fighting to survive, to understand.
And so those thoughts, that humanness that can't be trained out of a person, I don't care how much boot camp you've gone through, that very essence of humanness and humaneness in a person, it still lingers, it's still there, and it's like a voice. And that voice, after a while, becomes louder and louder, and in many cases, it begins to point fingers, and it begins to create doubt, and it begins to create hurt, and it's like a cancer that wells up inside of veterans or any person, and there's a war going on inside. You're telling yourself, yes, but this was my duty. You know, I swore to do this.
Some find comfort in art, creative expression.
So the way that art helps veterans, especially those who have been in combat, is that it allows veterans to address their problems without meeting them head on. It's a form of meditation, because when I paint something, for instance, it may not even be anything related to the war, but in my mind, I may be thinking about subconsciously a lot of the things that happened to me. So when art is a very, very powerful tool in the sense that it opens up for us to be able to release without the negative impulses and feelings that usually occur with PTSD. It allows us to do this in a way to where we don't even realize on a conscious level what we are doing. But when you get through with a piece of art, when you get through singing, acting, dancing, I do all of those things, painting, somehow you feel better.
Glenn, a veteran of Vietnam, found solace and a way to make a living through his art. Others find it harder to move on, especially those who fought more recent wars. Iraq, Afghanistan. 20 years after the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center in New York and the Pentagon in Washington, veterans of the wars that were sparked are still dealing with the aftermath.
Been through after 9/11 and it bounces off them. They're just positive.
Tom Porter helps veterans navigate the world they return to after leaving the battlefields. A veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan himself, he also worked for years on Capitol Hill. His organization represents nearly 500,000 veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan, relying on private donations to fund support.
I'm hearing a lot of questions about was my husband's or my son's or my daughter's service worth it now? You know, I heard one spouse say online, you know, what did we do this for? And there's going to be a lot of soul searching about this. But what I know is that for 20 years, our servicemen and women and our veterans and their families who supported them They kept America and our allies around the world safe while we built an intelligence infrastructure and defense infrastructure that could respond quickly and appropriately to fight the terrorism networks. And that worked, and we've been kept safe for the most part. So that's a victory for everybody that is served. And that's a huge victory. We have to keep up our vision on that and our attention, and we can't lose focus on that as we move past Afghanistan and past where we've been in Iraq, although we still have troops there.
The recent return of the Taliban after they were driven out of power in Afghanistan by U.S. and allied forces 20 years ago makes many former soldiers wonder about what exactly they were sent there to do.
Letters and things like that showing up at his house.
Travis Hoare was just 21 when he served in Afghanistan as a Marine in 2010. He now works as a lobbyist in Washington.
It was very eye-opening in a lot of ways. I grew up a lot, obviously out there. I was 21 when I deployed, but it was very interesting just being I was in a very small, remote place in Helmand Province, and just learned a lot about Afghan culture, obviously, and the Afghan people, and a lot about what their experiences were like.
Today, he is not sure of what might have been achieved.
The first thing that comes to my mind is having a long-term strategic plan. I think we saw that in Afghanistan and Iraq, that the United States never really had a long-term plan of how to do what we were trying to do. I think it's obviously very noble, and the idea of going after Osama bin Laden was the right decision. It was something that we had to do. We can't let an atrocity like that happen unanswered. But it would never seem like there was a plan what to do after that. So I hope that's the biggest lesson that we learn.
2 decades of what some predicted would be a 100-year war, the immediate needs of many of its veterans are being addressed, while soul-searching about its impact continues.
You have to be able to talk to the veteran and say to them, listen, I know you're going through something. I'm here with you. Let's figure this out, how we can get you some help. Do you feel what I'm feeling? Have you been feeling this thing?
Veterans of past wars learn to move on, knowing the world they fought for decades ago was changed on September 11, 2001, sparking new wars that never seemed to really end.